The courtroom smells like old wood and fear. I'm standing here, 72 years old, watching Judge Henrietta Calloway lean forward in her chair, her dark eyes locked on my son like she's reading his soul. The fluorescent lights hum overhead. My hands won't stop shaking. "Mr. Northwood," the judge says, her voice cutting through the silence like a knife through butter. "I have one question for you." Trevor straightens up in his seat. He's wearing that expensive navy suit. The one I'm sure cost more than my monthly Social Security check. His lawyer, Marcus Brennan, sits beside him, looking confident. Too confident. My daughter-in-law, Sienna, crosses her arms, her diamond bracelet catching the light. "Yes, Your Honor." Trevor's voice is steady, practiced. Judge Calloway sets down her pen. The sound echoes in the quiet room. "If your mother had nothing, no house, no savings, only her Social Security check to survive on, would you be sitting in this courtroom today?" The air freezes. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Trevor's mouth opens, then closes. His face drains of color, going from confident to pale in 3 seconds flat. Marcus leans over, whispering frantically in his ear, but Trevor just stares at the judge like she's speaking a foreign language. The seconds tick by. 5. 10. The silence grows heavier with each breath. "Mr. Northwood," Judge Calloway repeats, her tone sharper now. "Answer the question." But he can't or won't because the answer is written all over his face. In the way his jaw clenches, in the way his eyes dart to the floor. No, he wouldn't be here if I was broke. If I had nothing to take, I'd be worthless to him. My chest tightens. I can feel Regina Coe, my lawyer, sitting rigid beside me. The judge's eyes haven't left Trevor's face. She's waiting. We're all waiting. But the silence is the answer. The silence says everything. 3 months ago, I never imagined I'd be standing in a courtroom being sued by my own son for $400,000. 3 months ago, I still believed that the boy I raised, the one I worked 2 jobs for, the one I sacrificed everything for, still existed somewhere inside the man sitting across from me. But that morning in my kitchen changed everything. That morning, Trevor walked through my door with papers in his hand and greed in his heart. And the crack that had been forming in my chest for years finally split wide open. But to understand how a mother ends up here fighting her own child in court, you need to know where this nightmare began. The morning starts normal. I'm scrambling eggs when I hear Trevor's car pull into my driveway. It's a Tuesday. He never visits on Tuesdays. My kitchen window overlooks the front yard and I watch him get out of his black Audi, briefcase in hand, walking like a man on a mission. Something in my stomach twists. I unlock the door before he knocks. "Trevor, honey, this is a surprise." He kisses my cheek. Cold. Quick. "Hey, Mom. Got a minute?" "Of course. You want coffee?" I'm already reaching for a mug. "No thanks. This won't take long." He sits at my kitchen table, the same table where I helped him with algebra homework, where we ate spaghetti dinners for years because it was cheap and filling. He sets his briefcase down and pulls out a folder. "I need to talk to you about something important." I sit across from him, wiping my hands on my apron. That's when I notice Sienna standing in the doorway. She didn't come in with him. She's just watching. Her arms are crossed, her face unreadable. "Sienna, honey, come sit down," I say. She doesn't move. Trevor slides papers across the table toward me. "Mom, Sienna and I bought a house." My heart lifts. "Oh, that's wonderful. Congratulations." It's a 4-bedroom in Maplewood Heights. Granite countertops, open concept, huge backyard for the kids. He's talking fast, not meeting my eyes. "We closed last week." I look down at the papers. Mortgage documents. Monthly payment $2,800. My throat goes dry. That's quite a payment," I say carefully. "Yeah. Trevor leans back in his chair and something in his posture shifts. Hardens. We stretched ourselves thin with the down payment, credit cards maxed out, but it's worth it. The kids deserve a nice home. I nod slowly, waiting for him to get to the point. The air in my kitchen feels different, heavier. Here's the thing, Mom. He taps the papers. We need help with the mortgage. $2,800 a month. You've lived your life. You had your time. You own this house free and clear. Dad's life insurance paid it off years ago. You collect Social Security every month. You're comfortable. The word hangs in the air like smoke. Comfortable. You want me to help with your mortgage? My voice sounds far away. Not help. Pay it. Trevor's eyes finally meet mine. And I don't recognize what I see there. You're our family. This is what family does. Your grandchildren need stability. They need a good school district. And honestly, Mom, what else are you spending your money on? You never go anywhere. You don't need much. The presumption of it steals my breath. I look at Sienna. She steps forward now, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. We're family, Clara. This is how families support each other. And let's be real, you've had your turn. You raised your kid. Now it's time for you to invest in the next generation, in your legacy. She gestures around my small kitchen. You're sitting on equity you don't even need. My hands start to shake. Memories flood in. Working double shifts at the diner while Trevor slept. My feet swollen and bleeding in cheap shoe. Cleaning offices at midnight so I could afford his school supplies. Eating rice and beans for weeks so he could have a birthday party. Wearing the same winter coat for a decade so he could have a laptop for college. I raised him alone after his father died. Raised him to be better than this. My voice cracks. I can't do that. Trevor's face darkens. Can't or won't? Both. The word comes out stronger than I expected. I stand up, my legs steadier than my heart. I will not pay for a house I didn't buy, for a lifestyle I didn't choose. You're a grown man with a good job. You need to live within your means. Within our means. Sienna's voice turned sharp. That's rich coming from your generation. You boomers bought houses for pennies and pulled the ladder up behind you. That we can't get ahead because you won't share. The rage that rises in me is hot and sudden. Share. I gave your husband everything. I have $89,000 in retirement savings that took me 40 years to build. I own this house because I sacrificed for it. And you want me to hand it over so you can have granite countertops? Trevor stands, his chair scraping against the floor. Mom, be reasonable. No. The word drops like a stone. Trevor stares at me. Sienna's eyes go cold. No, I repeat. I will not do this. I raised you better than this, Trevor. I taught you that love isn't transactional, that family doesn't keep score. You're choosing money over your family, Trevor says, his voice low and dangerous. I'm choosing my dignity over your entitlement. Trevor grabs his briefcase. Sienna's already heading for the door. He stops in the doorway, his back to me. Don't expect to see your grandchildren again, Mom. You made your choice. The door slams so hard my picture frames rattle. One falls off the wall. Trevor's college graduation photo, his arm around me. Both of us smiling. The glass cracks down the middle, splitting us in two. I sink into my chair, staring at the mortgage papers still on my table. My hands won't stop shaking. I tell myself the worst is over. That he just needs time to cool down. That my son will come back to his senses. I'm wrong. 3 weeks pass like a funeral. Long silence, suffocating. I call Trevor 6 times. Every call goes to voicemail. I text him. Can we please talk about this? Read. No response. I text again. I love you. I miss the kids. Read. Nothing. Every morning I wake up hoping today will be different. Every night I go to bed with my phone in my hand, waiting for it to ring. My friend Delilah from church stops by with casserole. You did the right thing, she says, squeezing my hand. That boy is out of line. But knowing you're right doesn't stop the hurt. Doesn't fill the emptiness. I miss Felix's laugh. I miss little Zara's sticky hugs. I miss feeling like somebody's grandmother. On Felix's 7th birthday, I buy the remote control car he'd been wanting. Drive to their house in Maplewood Heights, a massive 2-story with a 3-car garage and a yard that could fit my entire house. I leave the present on their porch, carefully wrapped with a card that says, "Happy birthday, sweetheart. Grandma loves you." The next morning, it's on my porch, unopened, with a note taped to it in Sienna's handwriting. We don't accept gifts from people who abandon family. I cry for 3 days straight. Sit in my house with the curtains drawn, wondering how my life became this. Wondering if I made the wrong choice, wondering if I should just give them the money to get my family back. On the 4th day, I wake up angry. Angry at myself for doubting. Angry at Trevor for making me feel guilty for having boundaries. Angry at the universe for turning my son into a stranger. I start going through old photo albums. Trevor as a baby. Trevor's first day of school. Trevor graduating high school, college, getting married. In every photo, I'm there working, sacrificing, loving him with everything I had. I was a person before I was his mother. I had dreams. I had worth. And somewhere along the way, I forgot that. Let myself believe that my only value was what I could provide. Not anymore. I'm staring at a photo of Trevor's 8th birthday when my doorbell rings. My heart jumps. Maybe it's him. Maybe he's come to apologize. But when I open the door, there's just a man in a gray suit holding a manila envelope. Clara Northwood. Yes, you've been served. He hands me the envelope and walks away. My hands shake as I tear it open. The words at the top blur, then focus. Trevor and Sienna Northwood versus Clara Northwood. Complaint for breach of verbal contract and elder financial abuse. They're suing me for $400,000. Regina Ko's office smells like leather and coffee. She's a small Korean woman with sharp eyes and zero patience for nonsense. She reads through the lawsuit, her eyebrows climbing higher with each page. This is. She looks up at me. This is one of the most audacious things I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot. I'm sitting across from her, numb. The words from the lawsuit keep echoing in my head. Verbal promise, implied support, withholding generational wealth, elder financial abuse. They're claiming I'm abusing them by not giving them money. Can they win? My voice sounds small. Regina sets the papers down. Not if I have anything to say about it, but Clara, I need absolute honesty. Did you ever promise them money? Even casually, even once. I think back through every conversation, every holiday, every dinner. No, never. I bought birthday presents for the grandkids, brought dinner when Sienna had her appendix out, but I never promised money. Certainly not this kind of money. Good. Regina pulls out a legal pad because this is a shakedown. They're hoping you'll settle out of fear or guilt. They're counting on you being too tired or too heartbroken to fight. We're going to prove them wrong. She explains the process. Discovery, depositions, financial disclosures. They're going to have to show their income, their spending, everything. And so will you. Can you handle that? I think about my modest bank statements, my paid-off house, my small retirement account that I built quarter by quarter, dollar by dollar. Yes. Then let's go to war. Over the next 2 months, Regina requests everything. Bank statements, credit card bills, tax returns, and through the legal process called discovery, we get to see theirs, too. What we find makes my blood boil. Then Trevor makes $127,000 a year as a regional sales manager. Sienna makes $68,000 as a pharmaceutical rep. Combined, they gross $195,000 annually. They're not struggling. They're drowning by choice. The 650,000 house, the Audi, the Tesla. $42,000 in credit card debt from vacations to Cancun and Turks and Chows from furniture stores and Sienna's shopping sprees at Nordstrom. Their house poor, Regina says, sliding the documents across her desk. They bought a lifestyle they can't afford, and now they want you to subsidize it. I look at my own financial summary. My house worth $290,000. My retirement savings $89,000. Total net worth $379,000. And if they win this lawsuit, they take everything. At 72 years old, I'll have nothing. Are you ready for this fight? Regina asks. I think about Felix's returned birthday present, about Trevor's cold eyes, about the son I raised versus the man suing me. Yes, I say. I'm ready, but I'm not ready for what comes next. The months before trial are the loneliest of my life. Trevor sends one text, just one. You're choosing money over your family. Don't expect to see your grandchildren again. He means it. I drive by their house sometimes just to see if the kids are playing in the yard. Felix on his bike. Zara on her swing set. But the curtains are always drawn like I'm a ghost. Thanksgiving passes. I eat turkey alone staring at the empty chairs around my table. Christmas comes. I buy presents for Felix and Zara anyway. An art set, a science kit, but I don't deliver them. I can't handle seeing them returned again. On New Year's Eve, I almost call Trevor and tell him, I'll give him whatever he wants. Just let me see my grandchildren. Just let me be part of the family again. But then I remember the look in his eyes that day in my kitchen. The coldness, the entitlement. And I remember something my own mother told me before she died. Baby, people will take everything you got if you let them. Even the people you love. Especially the people you love. I start rebuilding myself piece by piece. Join a book club at the library. Volunteer at the food bank on Thursdays. Take a watercolor painting class and discover I'm actually decent at it. Make friends, real friends who like me for me, not for what I can provide. Then Regina calls. Clara, I need you to sit down. I'm already sitting, but my body tenses anyway. We got their financial discovery back. Full picture now. Papers rustle on her end. Your son and daughter-in-law make $195,000 a year combined. You told me that already. But here's what I didn't tell you yet. Their mortgage is $2,800 a month. Car payments are $1,200 combined. Minimum credit card payments are about $900 a month. Their basic bills, utilities, insurance, food, run another $2,000. I do the math in my head. That's roughly $7,200 a month in expenses. Their take-home after taxes is probably around $12,000. So, they have almost $5,000 left over every month, I say slowly. Exactly. They're not struggling to survive, Clara. They're struggling to maintain a luxury lifestyle while also taking expensive vacations and buying designer clothes. Last year alone, Sienna spent $18,000 at Saks Fifth Avenue. The anger rises hot in my chest. And so this lawsuit is pure greed. They want you to pay their mortgage so they can keep spending money they don't have on things they don't need. I close my eyes. See Trevor as a little boy crying because a kid at school made fun of his second-hand sneakers. Remember buying him new ones even though it meant I'd skip meals for a week. Remember teaching him that what matters isn't what you own but who you are. Where did that boy go? There's more. Regina says quietly. If they win this case, and they won't, but if they did, you'd lose everything. Your house, your savings, all of it. At 72, you'd be starting over with nothing but Social Security. The reality hits me like cold water. I'd be homeless, broke, dependent on the system I spent 40 years paying into. barely surviving on a check that doesn't cover rent anywhere in the city. They know that, don't they? My voice shakes. They know this would destroy me. Regina silences answer enough. How does this end? I whisper. In court in 3 weeks. And Clara, she pauses. We're going to win, but you need to be prepared for what comes after. Because even when we win, you'll still have lost your son. I hang up the phone and sit in the silence of my empty house. The same house I've lived in for 34 years. The house where I raised Trevor, where I celebrated his birthdays, patched his scraped knees, held him when he cried about his father's death. The house he's trying to take from me. I walk to my bedroom and stand in front of the mirror. The woman staring back looks older than 72, tired, but still standing. You can do this, I tell my reflection. Why, you've survived worse. But have I? Have I ever faced something that hurt this much? 3 weeks until trial. 3 weeks until I face my son in court and fight for my right to exist with dignity. I don't sleep that night or the next. Because every time I close my eyes, I see Judge Calloway's face. Hear her asking questions I can't answer. See Trevor walking away with everything I've spent my life building. The morning of the trial, I stand in my closet trying to decide what you wear when you fight your own child. What outfit says I'm not a villain? I'm just a woman who finally said no. I choose my navy dress, the one I wore to Trevor's wedding. Put on my pearl earrings, the ones my mother left me. Look in the mirror one last time. Let's go, I whisper. Because ready or not, the day has come. The courthouse steps feel steeper than they should. My legs shake with each climb. Regina walks beside me, her briefcase in one hand, the other touching my elbow like she's afraid I might fall. Maybe I will. Remember, she says quietly. Don't react. No matter what they say, no matter what Trevor says, the judge is watching everything. I nod, but I'm not sure I can keep that promise. The courtroom doors are heavy oak. They swing open with a groan that sounds like a warning. Inside, the air is cold, recycled, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and stays there. Rows of wooden benches, an American flag drooping in the corner. And at the front, behind a massive desk, Judge Henrietta Calloway already sitting reading through papers with reading glasses perched on her nose. Then I see them. Trevor sits at the plaintiff's table with Sienna and their lawyer, Marcus Brennan. Trevor's wearing that navy suit. Sienna's in a cream-colored dress that probably cost more than my monthly groceries. They look polished, prepared, like people who deserve to win. They don't look at me. Not once. My chest tightens. This is my son. The boy I rocked to sleep. The teenager I stayed up late with talking about his fears and dreams. The man I danced with at his wedding. And he won't even look at me. Regina guides me to our table. I sit. My hands won't stay still, so I fold them in my lap, squeezing until my knuckles turn white. All rise. Judge Calloway's bailiff, a broad-shouldered man with gray hair, announces the start. We stand. The judge looks up, surveys the room with eyes that miss nothing. Be seated. Her voice carries authority without being loud. We're here for Northwood versus Northwood, case number 2024, CV 8873. Mr. Brennan, you may proceed. Marcus Brennan stands, buttoning his suit jacket. He's young, maybe 35, the kind of lawyer who learned to smile with his mouth while his eyes stay calculating. Thank you, Your Honor. This is a straightforward case about family obligation and broken promises. He paces slowly, deliberately. Mrs. Clara Northwood, the defendant, is a woman of considerable means. She owns her home outright, a property valued at $290,000. She has nearly $90,000 in retirement savings. She collects Social Security by any measure. She is financially comfortable. The word again. Comfortable, like it's something I should be ashamed of. Meanwhile, her son Trevor and his wife Sienna, the plaintiffs, are struggling to provide a stable home for their 2 young children. They purchased a modest family home, hoping that Mrs. Northwood would honor her verbal commitment to help them, a commitment she made repeatedly over family dinners, during holidays, in casual conversation. "I'll always be there for you," she told them. "Family takes care of family." Lies. Every word a lie. But when Trevor and Sienna needed her most, Mrs. Northwood refused. She chose to hoard her wealth rather than invest in her grandchildren's future. She chose selfishness over family. And now, Your Honor, we're asking this court to enforce the verbal contract she made and award damages of $400,000 for breach of promise and the emotional distress caused by her abandonment. He sits down looking satisfied. I want to scream, want to stand up and tell everyone he's twisting everything. But Regina's hand is on my arm, steady and firm. "Miss Company," Judge Calloway says. Regina stands. She doesn't pace, doesn't perform. She just looks at the judge and speaks. "Your Honor, this isn't a case about family obligation. It's about financial extortion. The plaintiffs aren't struggling. They're house poor by choice. They make $195,000 a year combined. They chose to buy a $650,000 house. They chose to finance luxury cars. And they chose to rack up $42,000 in credit card debt on vacations and designer clothes. And when reality caught up with their choices, they decided my client should pay for it." She opens her briefcase, pulls out documents. "We have their financial records, Your Honor. Every purchase, every vacation, every dollar spent maintaining a lifestyle they can't afford. This lawsuit is nothing more than adult children throwing a tantrum because their mother finally said no." Judge Calloway leans forward. "Mr. Brennan, do you have evidence of this verbal contract? Witnesses, documentation, anything beyond your client's testimony?" Brennan stands again. "Your Honor, verbal contracts are enforceable in this state. We have the testimony of both plaintiffs who will attest." "So, no," the judge interrupts. "No witnesses outside your clients. No documentation, just their word against hers. Family matters often rely on trust, Your Honor. On good faith." "Good faith." Judge Calloway removes her glasses. "Counselor, I've read your filing. You're claiming elder financial abuse. Do you understand the seriousness of that allegation?" "Yes, Your Honor, and we stand by it. Mrs. Northwood is withholding generational wealth." As a generational wealth, the judge's eyebrows rise. "She worked as a waitress and a cleaning woman. She saved every penny. That's not generational wealth. That's survival money." The courtroom goes quiet. I can hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. This is it. This is where my entire life gets decided by strangers in a cold room. Judge Calloway puts her glasses back on. "I want to hear from the plaintiffs. Mr. Northwood, take the stand." Trevor stands. He walks to the witness box like he's done this 1,000 times. Confident. Sure. He places his hand on the Bible, swears to tell the truth, and sits. Marcus Brennan approaches. "Mr. Northwood, can you describe your relationship with your mother?" "She raised me," Trevor says, his voice smooth. "My dad died when I was 9. Mom worked hard. We didn't have much, but we had each other. She always told me family comes first, that we take care of our own." "And did you believe her?" "Of course. That's how I was raised." Brennan nods. "When you and your wife purchased your home, what did you expect from your mother?" "Support. Like she'd always promised. She knew we were looking at houses. She knew our budget was tight. During Thanksgiving dinner last year, she said, 'I'll always be here for you kids. Whatever you need.' So, when we found the perfect house for our children, I thought she'd help like family does." My nails dig into my palms. "That Thanksgiving dinner, I brought a pie. We talked about Felix's school play. I never said anything about money. Never. And when you asked for help," Brennan continues, "she refused. Said no without even thinking about it. Like we were strangers asking for a handout instead of her own family. Trevor's voice cracks perfectly. Practiced emotion. It broke my heart. My kids ask about grandma and I have to tell them she doesn't want to see them anymore. Objection. Regina stands. The plaintiff is testifying to conversations that aren't in evidence and misrepresenting. Sustain. Judge Calloway says Mr. Northwood. Stick to facts, not narrative. But the damage is done. Trevor's painted himself as the victim, the hurt son, the devoted father. And me. I'm the villain. Regina's turn for cross-examination. She approaches Trevor slowly. Mr. Northwood, you testified that you're struggling financially. Is that correct? Yes. And yet you make $127,000 a year. Correct. Trevor shifts. That's before taxes. And your wife makes $68,000 combined? That's $195,000 annually, correct? Yes. But is that more than your mother ever made in her entire life? Silence. Mr. Northwood. I don't know what she made. Well, let me help you. Your mother's peak earning year was 1998 when she made $34,000 working 2 jobs. You make nearly 6 times what she made at her best. Does that sound like someone who's struggling? Trevor's jaw tightens. Cost of living is different now. Indeed, it is. Which is why your mother on Social Security has to budget carefully. But you spent $18,000 at Saks FTH Avenue last year, another $12,000 on a vacation to Turks and Chows. Your car payment alone is $600 a month. Are those the expenses of someone struggling? We have children. Yes, 2 children. Your mother raised you alone on a fraction of your income. She didn't have luxury cars or designer clothes. She had determination and sacrifice. And now you're asking a 72-year-old woman on fixed income to subsidize your lifestyle. It's not like that. Then what is it like, Mr. Northwood? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you bought a house you can't afford and expected your mother to pay for your poor planning. Objection. Brennan is on his feet. Argumentative. Withdrawn, Regina says, returning to our table. No further questions. Trevor looks rattled as he steps down. Good. Sienna takes the stand next. She's less composed, more defensive. Mrs. Northwood owes us, she says when Brennan asks why they filed suit. She's sitting on all that money doing nothing with it. Where her legacy? Her grandchildren. If she really loved them, she'd invest in their future. Regina's cross-examination is brutal. Mrs. Northwood, you're aware that financial elder abuse is a serious crime? Yes. And you're aware that you're accusing a 72-year-old woman of abuse for not giving you money? She's withholding. She's protecting her retirement. The money she spent 40 years saving. How is that abuse? Sienna's face flushes. It's selfish. Selfish to want to survive. To have security and old age. She has more than enough. More than enough according to whom? You. A woman who spent $42,000 on credit cards last year. Regina pulls out a statement. This is from Nordstrom. $11,000 in 6 months. That's more than Clara's entire monthly budget. Who's really being selfish here? Sienna's mouth opens and closes. She has no answer. When both sides rest, Judge Calloway takes a long moment, shuffles papers. Looks from Trevor to me, then back again. I've heard enough, she says. But before I rule, I have one question. The courtroom holds its breath. Judge Calloway removes her glasses and looks directly at my son. Mr. Northwood. Her voice cuts through the silence like thunder. I have one question for you. Trevor straightens, trying to look confident, but I can see the tension in his shoulders, the way his hands grip the table. Yes, Your Honor. The judge leans forward. If your mother had nothing, no house, no savings, just her social security check to survive on, would you be sitting in this courtroom today? Time stops. The question hangs in the air like smoke. Heavy, suffocating, exposing. Trevor's face goes through a series of changes. Confusion, understanding, panic. His mouth opens, nothing comes out. Marcus Brennan leans over, whispering frantically, but Trevor just stares at the judge like she's speaking in tongues. 5 seconds pass, then 10. The silence grows teeth. Mr. Northwood, Judge Calloway repeats, her voice sharper now. Answer the question. If your mother was broke, would you be here? Trevor's hands start to shake. That's not, the situation is, it's a yes or no question. Your Honor, I don't think that's relevant. Brennan tries to interject. Counselor, I didn't ask you, Mr. Northwood. More silence. Trevor looks at Sienna. She won't meet his eyes. He looks at his lawyer. Brennan's jaw is tight. He looks everywhere except at me. And in that silence, the truth screams louder than any words could. No, he wouldn't be here. If I had nothing to take, I'd be invisible to him. Worthless. My chest cracks open. Not from surprise, but from confirmation. I already knew. Deep down, I knew. But having it exposed in a courtroom in front of strangers, in front of God and everyone, it's different. It's final. Judge Calloway sits back. Her face is calm, but her eyes are angry. Let me tell you what I see, Mr. Northwood. I see a man who makes nearly $200,000 a year with his wife. I see someone who bought a house he can't afford, lives a lifestyle he can't sustain, and decided his elderly mother should fund it. I see financial records showing vacations, luxury purchases, and credit card debt that would make most people blush. And then I see a lawsuit accusing a 72-year-old woman of elder abuse because she said no. She picks up her gavel. This case is dismissed with prejudice. You will not refile. You will not contact your mother regarding financial support, and you will pay her legal fees in the amount of $18,500 within 60 days. If you fail to pay, I will hold you in contempt. The gavel comes down. The sound echoes through the courtroom like a gunshot. Court is adjourned. I can't move. Can't breathe. Regina's hand is on my shoulder, squeezing gently. We won, she whispers. But it doesn't feel like winning. It feels like losing everything that mattered. Trevor and Sienna are standing, gathering their things. Marcus Brennan looks furious, whispering harshly to them. Sienna's face is red. Trevor's is blank, empty. As we file out of the courtroom, I see Trevor in the hallway. He's standing alone while Sienna talks on her phone, pacing angrily. For a moment, our eyes meet. He looks away first, but then something shifts in his face. He walks toward me, and for a second I think he's going to apologize. Going to say this was all a mistake. Instead, his face twists with rage. Are you happy now? He hisses, his voice low and venomous. You won. You kept your precious money. I hope it keeps you warm at night because you'll never see me or your grandchildren again. The words hit like fists. But I've had months to prepare for this moment. Months to understand what I need to say. No, Trevor, I say quietly. I'm not happy. I'm heartbroken because I raised you to be better than this. I taught you that love isn't measured in dollars. That family supports each other without keeping score. But somewhere along the way, you learned to measure my worth by my bank account instead of my sacrifices. And that's the saddest thing I can imagine. Trevor's face goes red. You chose money over us. I chose dignity over manipulation. I chose self-respect over being used. And those are things I should have taught you better. I take a breath. When you're ready to apologize, not for losing in court, but for what you tried to do, I'll be here. But I won't finance your greed. I'm your mother, not your retirement plan. I turn and walk away, my legs steadier than they've been in months. Behind me, I hear Sienna's voice. Come on, Trevor. She's not worth it. And that, I realize, is the most honest thing she's ever said. To them, I'm only worth what I can provide. 6 months pass like seasons, changing slowly at first, then all at once. I don't hear from Trevor. Not a call, not a text. Not even on my birthday when I turn 73 and eat cake alone in my kitchen, wondering if Felix remembered me. If Zara still asks where Grandma went. But I don't break. Don't crumble. Instead, I build. I joined that book club at the library. We meet every Thursday. I start volunteering at the food bank every Tuesday morning. Take that watercolor class and discover I'm actually good at painting sunsets. The teacher, an older black woman named Loretta, tells me I have an eye for light and shadow. That's because I've lived through both. I tell her. I make friends, real ones. Delilah from church introduces me to her sister Maxine. We have coffee every Sunday after service. They never ask me for money. Never expect me to be anything other than Clara. Just Clara, not somebody's mother or somebody's ATM. One evening, Loretta invites me to dinner at her house. Her grown children are there, 3 of them, all around Trevor's age. I watch them interact with their mother. The way they ask about her day, the way they make sure she's comfortable, the way they talk to her like she matters. You raised them, right? I tell Loretta later, helping with dishes. She smiles. I raised them to see me as a person, not just a provider. That's the difference. The words settle in my chest. That's what I failed to do with Trevor. I gave him everything, but forgot to teach him that I was someone beyond his mother, someone with value, needs, dreams. I became so focused on sacrifice that I taught him to expect it. That night, I write in my journal, something my therapist suggested months ago. I am Clara Northwood. I am 73 years old. I am kind. I am strong. I am worthy of respect. I am more than what I can give. The next morning, there's a letter in my mailbox. No return address, but I recognize the handwriting before I even open it. Trevor. My hands shake as I tear the envelope. The letter is 3 pages front and back. His handwriting, always messy, always rushed, fills every line. Mom, it starts. Just that one word and my eyes are already blurring with tears. I don't expect you to forgive me. I'm not sure I can forgive myself. Sienna and I are separated. She moved out 3 weeks ago, filed for divorce. Turns out when I couldn't afford the house payments anymore, she found someone who could. She's living with her parents now and they're apparently happy to fund the lifestyle I couldn't. I paused, reread that line, feel a shameful flicker of vindication. I'd been in therapy. Court-ordered at first because of the lawsuit, but I kept going after my therapist, Dr. Williams, asked me something that broke me while I'm open. When did you stop seeing your mother as a person? I didn't have an answer. Still don't. But I've been thinking about it every day since. Thinking about all those years you worked 2 jobs. The times I heard you crying in your room after paying bills, thinking I was asleep. The way you wore the same clothes for years so I could have new ones. The birthday parties you threw with money you didn't have. The college fund you built from nothing. I took all of it for granted. Worse than that, I took you for granted. I turned you into a bank account in my mind, a resource to tap instead of a person to love. And when you finally set a boundary, I punished you for it. I weaponized your grandchildren. I tried to take everything you'd worked for. The judge's question destroyed me, Mom, because the answer is no. If you had nothing, I wouldn't have been there. And that makes me the worst kind of person. The kind who measures love by dollars. The kind who learned nothing from your example. I'm not asking for anything. Not forgiveness, not another chance. I just needed you to know that I see it now. I see what I did. I see who I became. And I hate it. Felix asks about you. I told him the truth. That grandma and I had a fight and it was my fault. He made me a card to give you. I'm including it here. No pressure, no expectations. Just a 7-year-old who misses his grandmother. If you're willing, someday I'd like to introduce Felix and Zara to their grandmother again. Not because you have anything to give us, Adama, but because they deserve to know the woman who taught me before I forgot what real strength looks like. I love you, Mom. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Trevor. Tucked inside the letter is a crayon drawing, a stick figure labeled Grandma holding hands with 2 smaller stick figures labeled me and Zara. Above them in Felix's uneven handwriting. I miss you. I read the letter 3 times. Each time I cry harder. Then I pick up my phone and dial Trevor's number. It rings 4 times. I'm about to hang up when he answers. Hello. His voice is uncertain, fragile, nothing like the confident man who sued me. Trevor, I say. It's Mom. Silence, then a sound like a sob being swallowed. I got your letter. Mom, Let me talk first. I close my eyes, gathering strength. What you did hurt me more than anything in my life. More than losing your father, more than every sacrifice I ever made. You tried to take my security, my home, my dignity. You used my grandchildren as weapons. You looked at me and saw $signs instead of the woman who gave you life. I know. But I continue. I also see that you're trying, that you're in therapy, that you're taking responsibility, and that matters. It doesn't erase what happened, but it matters. I hear him breathing on the other end, shaky, waiting. I'm willing to talk to rebuild, but slowly, Trevor, with boundaries, with respect. I'm not a piggy bank. I'm not your retirement plan. I'm your mother and I deserve to be treated like a human being. Yes, he says quickly. Yes, whatever you need, whatever timeline. I just want a chance. Then let's start with coffee. Just you and me. Next Saturday at the cafe on Maple Street, 10 o'clock, we'll talk. Really talk. I'll be there. His voice cracks. Beta. Thank you, Mom. Thank you. After we hang up, I sit with the phone in my lap, staring at Felix's drawing, the little stick figures holding hands. Maybe this is what grace looks like. Not excusing, not forgetting, but giving someone who's truly changed a chance to prove it. Saturday morning comes bright and clear. I arrive at the cafe 10 minutes early, order chamomile tea, and sit by the window watching people pass. My hands are steady, my heart is calm. 6 months ago, I would have been a wreck. But I've learned something in these months alone. I'm complete without Trevor's approval. His presence in my life is a gift, not a requirement for my worth. At exactly 10 o'clock, Trevor walks in. He looks different, thinner. His hair needs cutting. The expensive suit is gone, replaced with jeans and a plain sweater. He sees me and stops like he's not sure he's allowed to approach. I wave him over. He sits carefully like the chair might break. Hi, Mom. Hi, sweetheart. For a moment, we just look at each other. Really look. Not as adversaries in a courtroom, but as 2 people who share blood and history and complicated love. I'm glad you came, I say. I wasn't sure you'd really want to see me. He swallows hard at after everything. I wasn't sure either, but I read your letter multiple times and I decided that if you're genuinely trying to change, I want to witness that because that's what mothers do. We show up even when it's hard. Trevor's eyes fill with tears. I don't deserve. You're right. You don't. But love isn't always about deserving. Sometimes it's about choosing. And I'm choosing to give you a chance. One chance, Trevor. Don't waste it. We talk for 2 hours. Really talk. He tells me about therapy, about the things he's learning about himself, about how Sienna's departure was actually a relief because he realized they'd built a marriage on materialism instead of love. About how he's downsizing, selling the big house, moving to a smaller place he can actually afford. About how he's teaching Felix and Zara that what matters isn't what you own, but who you are. I want them to know you. He says, the real you, the woman who worked 2 jobs and never complained, who sacrificed everything for me. I want them to learn from you what I forgot. That dignity and self-respect are worth more than any house or car or bank account. I reach across the table and take his hand. It's the first time I've touched my son in 7 months. Then, let's start slow. Maybe next weekend we can all have lunch at the park. Just an hour or 2. Let me see how Felix and Zara are doing. They'd love that. Trevor squeezes my hand. Mom, I know I can't undo what I did, but I promise you I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving I learned from it. That's all I ask. We stand to leave and Trevor hugs me. Really hugs me. Not the obligatory holiday hug or the quick goodbye hug. A real embrace that says, I'm sorry and I love you and I see you now. Walking to my car, I feel something I haven't felt in months. Hope. Not the naive hope that everything will be perfect, but the realistic hope that healing is possible when someone genuinely wants to change. The next Saturday, I meet Trevor, Felix, and Zara at the park. Felix runs to me yelling, Grandma, and throws his arms around my waist. Zara, more cautious, hangs back until I kneel down and open my arms. Then she comes, burying her face in my shoulder. I missed you, she whispers. I missed you, too, baby girl. We spend the afternoon playing on the swings, feeding ducks, talking about school and friends and the things kids care about. Trevor watches from a bench, and I catch him wiping his eyes more than once. This isn't a fairy tale ending. There's still hurt, still healing to do, still boundaries to maintain, but it's a beginning, a real one. As I drive home that evening, I think about everything that happened. The betrayal, the lawsuit, the months of loneliness, the choice to stand firm even when it hurt. And I realize something. I don't regret saying no. Not for a second. Because saying no to Trevor's demand wasn't about the money. It was about teaching him and myself. A lesson that took me 73 years to learn. Your worth as a person is never defined by what you can give others. It's defined by who you are when you stop giving things away and start giving yourself the respect you deserve. I am Clara Northwood. I raised a son who lost his way and found it again. I survived being sued by my own child. I rebuilt my life from scratch at 73. I learned that setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. And I'm still here, still standing, still worthy of love and respect. If there's anyone watching this who's going through something similar, maybe your kids are demanding money you don't have. Maybe your family treats you like an ATM. Maybe you've forgotten that you're a person with value beyond what you provide. Please hear this. You have the right to say no. You have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to dignity and security in your old age. Love should never cost you your self-respect. Family should never demand your destruction as proof of your devotion. And if you've enjoyed this story and want to be part of a community that supports these powerful messages, I invite you to join our exclusive membership family. You'll get early access to stories before anyone else sees them, bonus behind-the-scenes content, exclusive episodes, and the chance to suggest future stories that need to be told. You're not just subscribing. You're joining a movement of people who believe these stories matter and supporting our mission to keep telling them. To everyone facing impossible choices, remember the greatest gift you can give your children isn't your money. It's teaching them that dignity, boundaries, and self-respect are worth more than any inheritance. Stand firm, stand proud, stand in your worth. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next powerful story. Drop a comment below sharing your thoughts or your own experiences. Your story might inspire someone else who needs to hear it. Share this with someone who needs the reminder that they matter. Until next time, stay strong, stay worthy, son.